Welcome to the podcast recording of Middle East AI News Live for Thursday, October 30th, 2025, brought to you by Carrington Malin, marketing for an AI-first world. You're listening to my discussion with Mohammed Khalid, founder and CEO of UAE-based AI startup AIREV.
So let's dive into today's topic. And today's Thursday deep dive, we're going to be talking about AIREV's agentic AI platform OnDemand, and a new collaboration with US server and workstation build Supermicro. We're going to touch on AIREV and OnDemand and what that platform is, what it does for customers, the new Supermicro certification for OnDemand and what that means, and AIREV's partnership strategy and plans to ramp up global sales of OnDemand platform. I should mention also that AIREV was in fact the first ever sponsor of Middle East AI News in 2024. So very grateful to them for that. So AIREV was founded in 2023 by Mohammed Khalid, Dr. Yusuf, and Kayan Anwala. In a moment, we're going to be talking to Mohammed Khalid, founder and CEO of the UAE-based startup AIREV. AIREV is a consultancy and a development house founded in the UAE. Mohammed himself is a serial entrepreneur who's founded businesses across hospitality, fitness, and technology. In 2023, Mohammed launched SchoolHack AI, which quickly became one of the region's fastest growing apps, reaching 1 million downloads by May, and I think now has millions of users and still growing. AIREV launched OnDemand last May, I think as a beta stage, and launched the main final platform in July last year, onboarding 25,000 developers immediately during the first 6 weeks or so. So a warm welcome to Middle East AI News Live, Mohammed Khalid.
Hey, how are you, my friend?
All good, all good. So interesting year and a lot happening. So we're going to zoom in on some of the things that have been happening to AIREV and the things you've been driving for OnDemand. Great to have you here. Perhaps a good start would be just a bit of a recap, because a lot's happened in a very short space of time. And all of this started with you founding AIREV with co-founders and launching an education app. Do you want to just talk about the background of that and then how that led to the launch of OnDemand and your founding and your relationship with G42?
Sure, absolutely. No, first of all, I just want to say thanks for having me on, Carrington, and I want to say congratulations on all the progress. A while ago, the Middle East AI News wasn't as big, so I love the growth as well. So just a big congratulations there. But yeah, I'm more than happy to jump in to a little bit of the history. So yeah, we did launch SchoolHack, which did become one of the fastest growing applications ever from the GCC. It was in the very beginning of the AI boom, should I say, and it was pretty much in a great position to launch. We've been for a while, since 2018, trying to productize generative AI before it was really generative AI, and familiar with the T models, the Vinci models. And then once we got that universal user interface, was credit to ChatGPT, they kind of gave us a little bit of a blueprint of, okay, this is how the end user likes to, and then lo and behold, it was just a chat interface, So yeah, we pretty much launched SchoolHack, which it's an edtech platform. The best way to describe SchoolHack is kind of like Facebook and ChatGPT kind of mixed together for students. That's the best way to describe it. So we, done a lot of innovative features around that. And yeah, we launched the application, and in 4 months, we managed to get 1 million users, which was pretty insane. This was a very long time ago, before ChatGPT had an application, before you could communicate with documents. So we had a lot of these features already, right? And it just really took off. And of course, that gained the interest of the regional powerhouse, which is G42. And yeah, we're very fortunate and lucky. And they believed in us very early on and kind of saw what we was doing and the direction we was going, and decided to take a bet on us back in 2024, February. So that's a little bit of the journey there. Then from there, we formed AIREV. Our capabilities, of course, we knew far expanded education, which I think we've kind of proved now, with the launch of OnDemand. And yeah, that's just a little bit of backstory.
Yeah, and that experience in launching SchoolHack really sort of shed light on the opportunity for OnDemand, didn't it?
It did. So when we launched SchoolHack, and kind of being in Abu Dhabi, which is very vibrant for AI, very ambitious. We're very lucky and fortunate to be in a country which really gets behind artificial intelligence. So we saw, the excitement, we saw appetite, for AI, which actually kind of led us to think, okay, this is great. And we was fortunate enough to get a few opportunities earlier on. And we realized, everyone needs their own personalized applications. We kind of realized that very early on. But as you know, these things take time, right? And we wanted to kind of continue innovating on top of SchoolHack. And the idea come to me, imagine if there was just a platform what can get you like A to B really quickly and have a full AI application. So it kind of just stems from that idea. Not so much like the user interface vibe coding aspect of it, but more like real applications from a back-end perspective, like a full-scale application. And yeah, we decided to launch OnDemand. Technology behind SchoolHack kind of led on towards OnDemand. We had like a retrieval director. This was way before there was multimodal models. So if you had a text model, let's say GPT-4, and you had a vision model, GPT-4V, we're having like a retrieval director, which essentially is like an agent, an LLM, deciding based on the input token, kind of which other LLM should it pass you on to. So if you input an image, you need to get directed to GPT-4V. If it's text, maybe GPT-3, GPT-4, depending on the complexity, if it's documents, so on and so forth. So it kind of started like that. And as we started advancing the features of SchoolHack, so we had a good foundation. Yeah, before the buzz of agents, it's like we was building agents before we even knew we was building agents. It kind of felt like, right? And really, we had like different plugins, which we called, obviously now that's known as tools for these agents. So we used to call them plugins back in the day, and I had to kind of hard force the team, please, can you stop calling them plugins? These are tools, So that was an interesting time. And we started building, which is now our operating system, which is OnDemand. Very different. I get asked a lot of times, what's the difference between this platform and another platform like an N8N or Make.com? With OnDemand, we cover the complete developer's life cycle of building a product. And the reason why we don't call it our agent platform and why we call it an OS is because, just like Android is an OS, right? It's an operating system. So Android can be running on a Motorola, can be running on Google Pixel, on a Samsung, so on and so forth. So we kind of took those aspects into kind of what we see as a true operating system. Of course, there's economics around each OS. On iOS, you have the App Store. On Android, you have the Play Store. So there's economics around, monetizing the agents that's built on the platform also.
So your focus from the beginning, because I remember talking to you at the beginning, is to have a platform that allows developers to create production-ready apps. So apps that integrate immediately with their environment, that interface with CRM, ERP platforms that are ready to go.
Yeah.
What are customers using OnDemand for these days, and what are they developing?
Absolutely. So there's two OnDemand platforms. So we have our B2C front-facing, which does target engineers and developers, or engineers to be, someone that wants to essentially go and build something and may not have the full kind of skill set. It's a low-code, no-code platform. Essentially how each agent would be a feature in your individual application. And yeah, we've seen great applications built on the B2C consumer-facing. We have a lot of different agents being built. We've had hosted so many hackathons as well, from agriculture to like food tech. It's really a lot of very interesting products we're seeing being built. Even like almost competitors to SchoolHack have also been built on the platform, which is interesting. Yeah, we've had many hackathons. We've had hackathons in NYU, Oxford University, recent partnership with 42 Abu Dhabi, and we've seen a lot of young talent build fantastic products in a matter of days on the platform. So yeah, we plan on, of course, scaling that globally as well. So that's the developers platform. Then we have the B2B version of OnDemand, which is essentially the same thing, but it's kind of watered down from kind of all of the developer-related tools, and it focuses more on enterprise agentic automation. And of course, it's got very friendly and familiar enterprise features, so the ability to collaborate on kind of your agents together, to communicate on the platform as well. Our clients in our B2B, they're just focusing on, reducing the bottom line and getting some great results and essentially just automation. The promise of abundance that AI promises us, is kind of do more with less is what we essentially go to market with when it comes to B2B. So yeah, very complex automations. we've seen our agents do. Of course, this flags the risk of, job security. Our motto and our thesis inside of AIREV is we don't believe that or encourage our clients to fire anyone. We kind of consider on-demand as, it allows you to redeploy these stuff, make them focus on more strategic thinking, critical thinking, other aspects of the business. We believe that as time progresses and as we go into the times of post-labor economics, us humans are very special beings. I personally don't believe that we should be stuck behind a laptop for 8 hours a day. I think we're capable of way more. So on-demand pretty much gets you to that stage. Of course, each company has its own policies and roadmap, of course, but that's what we preach.
OnDemand launched last year, got a great response, immediately. And you also announced last year there's a G42 investment and partnership with AIREV. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? And I think there's an update on investment from this year as well with VentureWave.
Yeah, absolutely. G42, they was the first to believe in us. We was very proud and still very proud to be partnered with G42. We've learned a lot with them and the ecosystem. And it's a very, complex ecosystem for a startup to come into. But the guys have been pretty much great over there. And it really come from the momentum that we built with SchoolHack. And, they gave us a big chance and a big opportunity. I was actually personally incubated with a company called AI at the time, which is now known as Inception, under Dr. Andrew Jackson. So I had a great opportunity working with him for around 9 months. And, he really kind of showed me the ropes and, saw the talent firsthand and kind of, put us through our paces for sure. He most certainly did that. In the end, we was very fortunate enough, alhamdulillah, that we got an investment for G42. Of course, we decided to launch on-demand. And, again, we had support from Core42 at that time as well. You can see old articles. I think one is featured on my LinkedIn. And you're right. We did get another investor, a great VC firm called Venture Capital, actually one of the leading VCs in Ireland. I think it's very important that we, us AI companies, we also bring in, foreign direct investment into the country as well. So, and I think that kind of validates us even further and showcases what we're doing. So, I was very fortunate to meet both Alan Foy and Brian Martin. Great guys with great experience. They have the experience of kind of scaling a company from zero to X amount of $100 million exits before, which was critical. Essentially, you've already accomplished something that we are trying to accomplish, let's say, right? And you kind of worn the t-shirt. So their experience is invaluable. I'm very well connected as well. And I'm a vibes sort of person, From day one, we met those guys and, it was just a good fit. It felt like the right thing to do. And of course, that was supported by all shareholders as well. So that was great. And then, we ended up signing with VentureWave as well.
So this is a very fast-moving business. The launch was fast. The development cycle's been pretty fast. And as you mentioned, you've got a consumer version, you've got a B2B version, and also done some tweaking to make that work on Supermicro workstation, which we're going to be talking about in a couple of minutes. So what features have you added to the OnDemand platform this year? What's been the change that you would have seen as a customer?
There's been a lot of features. From the B2B version, kind of all of the chat features, the ability to communicate with your teams in chat, the ability to kind of have an AI-powered CRM, via natural language. An enterprise can put any document into their chat, kind of a centralized CRM, as well as all the agents from a B2C platform and the overall side of things. We've included, of course, MCPs. We saw the rise of MCPs. So we have 2 marketplaces now. So we have an agent marketplace, which consists of a bunch of agent tools, the ability to go and create agents and tools as well on the platform, not just a marketplace via, REST APIs. You can kind of build MQTT tools. So that's great. But now added into that is MCP. So now you can actually go and kind of go to the marketplace and deploy an MCP on top of our infrastructure, which is by G42 sovereign infrastructure, to be exact, Core42. So that's great. And you can also, communicate with other MCPs that lives outside of OnDemand. And the beautiful thing about all of this, it works with all of the pre-existing tools. So you can set up a workflow where you're maybe calling 2 MCP servers, 4 REST API tools, and let's say 2 MQTT tools for IoT use cases, and everything works kind of coherently together. That's been pretty cool. and kind of introduced lovable features, because the rise of vibe coding now. So of course, when you click get code now, you can actually go and get a replit prompt, a lovable prompt, or a VO prompt. And you can kind of take the agent or product you've built on demand, kind of go over to a lovable and kind of just vibe code your own user interface. And the backend would be completely orchestrated and operated by your on-demand agent. So yeah, that's been pretty cool. So yeah, keeping up with the times for sure. I tell everyone this is a young man's sport, it's very fast. Yeah? Of course, we have our workflows as well. So the ability for these agents to maneuver autonomously as well, integrating text and voice. And there's a lot of models. There's a new model every day sometimes. Sometimes it feels like actually there's 3 weeks of nothing. Then there's like 4 months of you can't even keep up. So just kind of picking and choosing which are the best models to include on the platform, because of course you can't really have them all, but you should have as much as you possibly can, the ones that are great, That's from open source to proprietary models. So kind of keeping up with like the XAIs, the OpenAIs, the Anthropics of the world, and kind of what's going on in the open source world, the DeepSeek, Quen, of course, Llama. I still think Llama's coming for payback after Llama 4. I seen the announcement, so very much looking forward to that. Very fast moving, and you've got to be sharp.
And customers, of course, have a choice of using these different models, and they're almost interchangeable on your platform. And you can just move from one model to another model, begin creating something using another model. It's very flexible.
That's the key thing, and that's a big differentiator with us. We are a decentralized agentic operating system. The key word there is decentralized, so we are hardware agnostic. We've got partnerships with Intel, Tenstorrent, you just saw now with, of course, Supermicro. The compute we're using there, of course, is NVIDIA and AMD. So we're completely agnostic. It goes from everything from GPU to CPU with the accelerators, and we even have on-demand running completely on edge in an AI PC using Intel's MPUs for the inferencing. So it's decentralized in that way. You can deploy on-demand as an encrypted image in regardless of whichever cloud you're on. So it could be Azure, GCP, AWS, completely agnostic. And then from the hardware and infra level, then all the way down to the LLM layer as well. To have that flexibility, we feel like we've most certainly hedged our bets. So a lot of different platforms, there is some form of vendor lock-in. That's nothing wrong with that, and that's down to their thesis, but our thesis is decentralization. Of course, I come from a blockchain background, building dApps, decentralized applications. So this is something that I've been doing for a very long time, actually. Yeah, so we kind of built on demand with that in mind. So for us, we feel like we've really hedged our bets. So regardless if it's whichever company wins the race to AGI, for example, it doesn't really matter. If open source beats proprietary models, again, it doesn't really matter. If, architecture of these LLMs change, there was a recent research paper with these kind of recursive models when I believe that a model was 7 million parameters, which was very interesting. So we hedged our bets. So if that's the case and that progress is kind of all the work that we've done, on top of that, the CPU AI accelerators with the likes of Tenstorrent and kind of what we're doing with Intel on the AI PCs, on their MPUs, we are unaffected. It doesn't really matter. So that's the kind of way we built our OS, and we're quite pleased with that.
Right. So you just announced a collaboration with Supermicro, a certification from Supermicro for on-demand to run on one of its most powerful workstations. How did that come about?
Yeah, well, in the quest for decentralization, right, and in the quest to fit into the vision that the leadership has in this country of UAE kind of being transitioning from fossil fuels to like an export of IP, any small, tiny contribution a startup like ours could do and kind of, follow lead in that direction has really always been our goal. Our goal has always been to go international school hackers in over 160 countries. One of the first to be the only company to be recognized by OpenAI for kind of how much we've used their API. So we've always had that global mindset. When you have that mindset, you have to get in touch to the global players. Supermicro is definitely a global player. Kind of seeing the work that they've done, and if even Elon credited them with kind of what they've done with the kind of this supercluster that they built for XAI. So that's a big player for us, Supermicro.
And also, I think, becoming more active in this region as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they are. Exactly. So yeah, we got connected. We showcased our platform and they appreciated our technology. This, of course, could be a good fit. It's mutual value. We bring a differentiator to their hardware, of course, right? So, which is great. So yeah, when you're buying these servers for the end customer to get an ROI, you want to be able to do things with it immediately at some stage. You want an ROI. So when you kind of connect the two, OnDemand and their hardware, it's immediately, there's even more value for the end customer. Now that they can deploy agents, these agents can handle internal workflows and tasks, your kind of procurement, supply chain, help desk agents, it's an immediate ROI. So it was a good fit for them. And for us, it kind of fits into our vision of kind of all the action is in, like the main action, of course, is in US, UAE and US, they got a great partnership going on as well. Anywhere we can really, as a startup, kind of sneak into that stack, is great. So we was very happy to do that. And we work really well with the Supermicro team. So a big thanks to Jimmy, Steve, and of course, Olivia as well, who was the initial point of contact. And of course, Jorge from AI Ideology as well. So everyone kind of played a big part in getting connected. And yeah, it was an interesting journey. Like we kind of showed the tech in the beginning and then, everyone liked it. Then we had to figure out what the fit was. And kind of once we nailed it, so exciting. So now it puts us in a position, of course, they work with system integrators such as Essential or WWT. So if anyone's kind of looking for a desktop server, they can go to this specific server. Then Supermicro can just say, oh yeah, by the way, this has been certified by AIREV and you can do 1, 2, 3. And the Essentials of the world or the WWTs of the world, they can kind of give a full stack to their end customer. And, it's a lot of channeling and sell-through motions. And, that's very scalable for us. We don't envision the company or want the company to grow to 400, 500 people really and have like a really huge sales team. It's not really part of our agenda. You see big tech companies doing a lot of layoffs now. So we want to scale sensibly in terms of kind of human manpower. Anyone that's with us, we want them to remain with us. So we don't want to, like some startups, they kind of go on a rise and start mass hiring, having to double back on that a little bit later, kind of reverse that. So we don't want to do that. So our best kind of form of GTM is being integrated into these key channels. So that's one of our strategies, yeah.
So you minor modifications to OnDemand. It's obviously been tried and tested on the Supermicro workstation. And now this actually provides an on-demand platform with a sovereign environment on that machine, doesn't it? You don't need connections necessarily to the cloud. You can run that on-premise on that workstation.
Exactly. Completely sovereign, air-gapped solution, which is verified by, one of the biggest companies in the world. So it's a great solution.
And the certification has just become valid in the last few weeks, I think. So this is now available globally via Supermicro channels as a bundle with their workstation.
Absolutely. Yes, correct.
Cool. So I know you've been working on partnerships across the board, and actively looking for partners for, the last 2 years. And we spoke a bit about the partnership with Core 42, and you're also looking at hardware and AI infrastructure partnerships. And you mentioned Intel, Tenstorrent. What's driving this from the hardware infrastructure perspective? Because there's cloud and there's also this building wave of demand for sovereign AI as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, there is a huge demand for sovereign AI. So I'll touch base on Tenstorrent. So Tenstorrent is great. We were fortunate enough to be introduced to Tenstorrent, actually through Kyan, or one of our co-founders, and, which was the first was, of course, Carl Stelmar, great guy. Again, they saw the same value as what Supermicro, and then we kind of got to learn a lot about Tenstorrent, and we love their product as well. So it's like a mutual love for each other's products. They have a quiet box and a loud box, and they're amazing. Actually, they're really, really cool. And Tenstorrent's led by kind of the legendary Jim Keller, which I was fortunate to meet recently, and really great guy, honestly. And he's kind of worked pretty much everywhere, and he's kind of played a part in a lot of chips, to be honest, a lot of CPUs. He's a fantastic engineer and an even better person, which I got to know in person. And the Tenstorrent team, of course, they're facing the giants like the NVIDIAs of the world. So, and we're also facing giants in a way, right? So they have the same energy, and that's very important. Not often do you see a company as big as Tenstorrent have that desire and hunger, like a young, hungry startup, which was great. And they're really kind of engineering focused. So are we. right? They're builders.
Can you elaborate what you're doing with Tenstorrent, or is it still confidential?
Yeah, like there's something public, we have a public announcement. So I don't have that memorized, unfortunately. So I'm trying to think of what I can say. But I think what's safe to say is like abundant opportunity between both products. So right now, yes, you can get a Tenstorrent box with OnDemand on it right now. So I'll do my sales pitch actually. So
Excellent.
If anyone's listening and they want a sovereign AI on-prem, that's definitely doable now. And we're in a few conversations. Kind of, joint motions, and co-sales, co-marketing and doing some cool stuff. A lot more is cooking on that front as well. So it will be good to maybe come back a bit later and touch a little bit more on that. It's a great partnership and very proud to be working with them.
Excellent. And you also recently made an announcement with Intel.
Absolutely. So, of course, Intel is Intel, right? So it's one of the OGs, so to say, like the legacy chip makers. And what I love about Intel is they do everything from, manufacturing in their fabs to designing. It's complete end to end is essentially what I'm trying to say. That was a very proud moment for us as well. And, so we've been exploring across their Gaudi. So we actually have a joint white paper coming out soon. Their Gaudi and Xeon chips and, just an honor to be a part of their ecosystem. So we rate them highly and consider them a very important and strategic partner for us. And they also have plans for the region as well. And they're paying a close eye to the region, which is also great. They've been in the region for a while anyway, right? But there's an extra focus. So yeah, that's a really big partnership for us. A lot of exciting things going on there. Again, it's kind of pretty much part of the thesis, of being a hardware agnostic operating system. Yeah, it's been a joy to work on their hardware actually, and so the Gaudi is great. People need to pay attention to Gaudi actually. We got fortunate enough, we would have partnered with Intel anytime because it's Intel. But what a time to partner with Intel, so we got a bit fortunate on that front, Of course, the investment from USG and NVIDIA, I believe even SoftBank as well. You can just kind of look at their kind of the market cap over the last year and you can see the trajectory of where they're heading. So we're very excited to work with them. And yeah, there's a lot of things because they're such a huge company. There's a lot of different opportunities there as well. And, again, it's the same value. They value we've built on demand and, it kind of the use case maker. Really, like on demand, you can figure out a use case in 3 to 4 minutes. You can go and get pre-existing use cases. It's really just plug and play. It's one of the most, if not the most seamless agent platform. It's really and truly a low code, no code platform. For the likes of Intel, they just want to partner with not just us, other partners that, can bring value within their ecosystem. So yeah, that's kind of where we are.
This is now the B2C version, there's the B2B version, and now increasingly there's going to be sovereign versions that are on local machines.
Yeah, the deployment types, of course, you can, let's say we're talking B2B, you can have a fully managed service, which is hosted here in the UAE in Core 42's sovereign cloud, which is, of course, safe, secure, where SOC 2, Type 1, ISO compliant as well. Yeah, which was not many people are, We have that as a fully managed service. And of course, Core 42 is like kind of top for their sovereignty and their security. So everything's in very safe hands over there. That's for the fully managed service. And we do also go and deploy encrypted images inside of your own environment. Not all enterprises, some want a fully managed services and some want everything kind of, depending on the sector. There are some sensitive sectors, aviation, public safety, security, finance. These are highly regulated industries. So you would want to deploy on demand within your own environment, whether that's in your own cloud. And for the sectors that are extremely regulated, it has to completely be on-prem. So we're here to cater to our clients' needs. We deploy on demand in whatever way they like. It's, again, part of our thesis of decentralization. We don't hard fork anyone into anything, We give that flexibility and dexterity throughout the stack here.
Sounds like there's a lot more options available to on-demand customers today versus last year.
Yes. I won't be growing hair anytime soon. I'll tell you that, Karen. It's very stressful, but it's great fun.
You're on this massive now called agentic AI wave, where all the major software vendors developing agents like crazy, the hardware all pivoting in the knowledge that there's going to be more agents working in more places, on more devices, in more companies, and more use cases. Do you see other opportunities for on-demand in the future that perhaps going to require new features, new solutions?
Yeah, absolutely. So I won't give it all away, but kind of what's made us progress this far, which is different to some other AI companies. There's a lot of want to build platforms, or they have a platform that they're working on. We have had a very clear and do have a very clear product roadmap. I can safely say we're like 60% of the way there. We have a lot more features to build. I guess it'll all be revealed at the end, I suppose, So we're just kind of focused, steadily kind of sticking to our internal roadmap, going ahead. Yeah, that's kind of the path we're sticking to. We also have our V2. So we have, of course, right now everyone's using OnDemand OS V1. So we have, which was many iterations till we got a really stable version. So there was like 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, and so on and so forth. So we stuck to the V1, but over the last year, we've been working on V2. So we're going to release that in the next few days, I believe, as experimental for sure. And it's a lot more agentic. I won't say too much because I also have a white paper on this and kind of go into kind of high-level detail, high-level architecture. But kind of one key thing, it's more human-like, So right now, our framework is the agent makes the plan and it will try to fulfill that plan to the best of its ability, and it does complete the plan, So now with V2, I say it's a lot more human-like in a sense that the tasks can span. So right now, we aim to complete a task can last up to 30 minutes. So with V2, it can go off and complete tasks that are hours. When a task span hours, if you can't always stick to a plan which you've made earlier on, so the agent must have the ability to replan based on real-time data. A key difference there is the ability to be a lot more agentic and autonomous, So if it created a plan when essentially the user press run, and along that journey, it figures out a better way of completing the end task, and it might have to go and rethink its plan and kind of add a few more tweaks or a few more different steps based off of the real-time data that it's receiving. V2 can now effectively do that. And the results of that are tremendous, actually. And also V2 is another great thing, what I like about V2 is you get better output from the smaller models. So we've kind of fine-tuned small language models, for kind of like our AI accelerator CPU use cases, and they work great, of course. You still know it's a smaller model. It completes the task, but you know it's a smaller model. So with V2, it's very hard to tell the difference, actually. It's the outputs, it's a lot better. Kind of everything is working very smoothly, and it caters more to our kind of decentralized thesis. It can be really small language models, and these LLMs are really taken to this new architecture really, really well. It's a joy to see. So yeah, very much looking forward to having that on. It will be beta, experimental. So at the bottom of the tab, you're going to see OS V1 and OS V2 experimental. We're going to slow roll it out, get some feedback as well, and kind of have a few different hackathons that's solely based around V2 and kind of see how that scales. Or maybe A/B testing with a small amount of users that are regularly using OnDemand. And we're very excited to roll that out.
Great. So from your view as the developer of OnDemand and seeing this increased growth in the platform and in the whole agentic AI ecosystem, how have customers changed the way that they're using OnDemand over the last year?
Yeah, well, there's constant UI improvements. So we've tried to make everything as intuitive as we can, There is kind of new trends forming, like UI trends forming. So yeah, what we've seen is adoption. A lot of adoption, kind of ease of use has increased a lot. So at first it is a stacked platform. How you kind of show each and every feature, it's really important. You can have great features, but if the UI UX is not great, then you would have wasted all of that hard work, So we've just been working a lot more on making the platform more intuitive. We've seen great rewards of those efforts, actually. So there's been a lot more faster adoption.
So by that, you mean the number of new users coming onto the platform or the acceleration of users' work when they're already on the platform?
Yeah, so good question. Retention as well. Number one is a metric that we've seen. We've seen kind of a lot of higher rates of retention. Yeah, getting from A to B, just ease of use, kind of how long they stay on the platform for. They're having a good time when using the platform. They're finding the platform easy to use, So the metrics that we see is more tools created, more agents deployed, more workflows, These are the kind of things you can only have with real users, That's the key thing here is real users, because there's a lot of agent platforms, behind the scenes or built, but they've actually not stepped out into the wild west yet, So we stepped out over a year ago, right, in July 2024. And when you first step out and you allow everybody to use the platform, that's the only way you can have real user feedback. And real user feedback is the only way you can adequately iterate on the product. So yeah, you release a product, you think it's the best thing since sliced bread. You have some people that love it, and you have some people say, this didn't work, or maybe this was garbage. And this is what you need, actually. Kind of this feedback is what's got OnDemand to the stage it's at now. Especially me, I take everything personally. If I see like a Discord comment, I'm like, oh no, we must fix this right away. It breaks my heart because of all the effort that's went into the platform. We'll be heavily pushing, and this really fast, quick iteration cycle, and having over 100,000 users come into the platform. So they'll be in chunks as well. So the 100,000 users, it's not like you've got to be honest as well. So you say, we have 100,000 users. Do we have 100,000 users? Yes, but each of them have come in at different stages of the platform. Maybe the first 10,000 users would have churned a lot faster than the second 10,000, and so on and so forth. So this is all part of the life cycle of building a product. So yeah, it's been a very interesting journey.
Great. So I'm sure everybody's looking forward to seeing what version 2 looks like in the next few days or coming period. That's all we've got time for today. Thank you so much for joining us on Thursday Deep Dive. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Carrington. Always a pleasure. Thank you, my friend. Thanks for having me. Good luck and keep up the hard work as well.
You too.
Yeah, we need you. Thank you so much. We rely on you for our daily news now, everyone in the Middle East. So I'm very happy to see kind of your growth as well and everything you've been doing. And thanks for the shout out. I'm proud to be the first sponsor of Middle East AI News. And I see some of the really big names you're getting on now as sponsors. So that's great. And yeah, very proud of you. So I just wanted to give a thumbs up for that.
You've been listening to a recording of Middle East AI News Live for Thursday, October 30th, 2025, brought to you by Carrington Malin. Thanks for listening.